Hi, I'm with Kim Woodul, Ebby Halliday Realtors, and Kim, when you bought your home, your first home, how did you select your realtor?
So she was referred to us. We had done some searching online, and we had gone to some open houses, and we had met a few of the listing agents that way. But those agents were working on behalf of the seller, that they had that listing. We interviewed a few, but the one that was referred to us, she just really won us over because she was so knowledgeable. She was accountable. Our personalities matched. The times that we could go look at houses aligned. She was the expert in the area of town that we were looking in, and she just gave us a lot of confidence that we knew that she would be a strong negotiator on our behalf, that she knew contracts and how to negotiate, and that she was going to be working hard for us.
She won your trust.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's you have to have that. So.
And we interviewed several agents, and then we chose one to go with, and that was the person that we were dedicated to working with throughout the whole transaction.
So when does a buyer make that commitment, and what does that commitment look like?
I think it's key to understand the difference between what the representation agreement is. So all customers are, we're bound by a code of ethics with the National Association of Realtors to treat all parties honestly and fairly. As a client versus a customer, a client comes with more services, and so you have obedience to what that client is telling you to do inside that transaction. There's accountability to that person. You're able to negotiate on behalf of that buyer, that client.
Just like in our business for a loan, if someone's just inquiring about a loan, that's just a customer relationship. They're just inquiring. But once you've made loan application with us, then you're a client.
Right.
So there's the difference between inquiring and making application or completing that brokerage agreement.
I feel like it's the difference between going shopping versus actually being a buyer. It's the difference between a serious buyer.
Right.
Good.
And what are the benefits that come from being in that relationship? Signing a broker agreement letter. I mean, what does that do for you?
So throughout that transaction, you are working very closely with your realtor. You're disclosing things to them that are very confidential in nature. You're working very closely with the lender, your finances and things like that. And so having that confidentiality is, you don't want to do that with just every agent that you walk into an open house and start talking to. That's something that you want to be in a committed relationship with somebody to share those kinds of details.
For instance, if we're looking at a house and you see it and you see it at a great value, but you're like, I'm not willing to pay more than this. Or maybe you're like, I would go up to this. I'm sharing that information with you confidentially, and that's not being relayed to the seller.
Correct. So if you're in an open house and you're talking to that agent that's sitting in the house and you're sharing with them that information, well, they're acting on behalf of the seller. And so they're going to go back to the seller and say, this buyer's actually going to pay this much for the house. So you kind of lose your negotiation power.
Right.
I think that's a very strong point. But, it's a commitment relationship. The first time you meet that agent, you want to interview them. You want to make sure it's a fit. And that agent's also interviewing you as well as the buyer to see if you're a fit to work with as well. And after you've kind of interviewed one another, it's going to be a fit, then the buyer's representation agreement it's just a simple agreement that says, I'm going to help you buy your house, and we're going to be there for one another until this actually closes. There's no upfront cost for the buyer to work with a realtor that's acting on their behalf. My commission is paid entirely at the closing table out of the seller's net proceeds.
Right.
So,
I think a lot of people ask that question. How are you paid? Yeah. So you're paid at closing, and there's no money out of pocket to be in a relationship with you, and you're going to be looking out for homes for me. And when I go out and I just run by a house and see it, and it may be the perfect one, I'm going to say, I have an agent. Kim Woodul is my agent. That way, that agent knows that you have representation. So,
and that's a good point, Bill. An agent has access to the local MLS, so I'm able to see houses before they go on the market.
Mhm.
As soon as they go on the market, a lot of the consumer websites that buyers are looking at have about a 24-hour lag before it actually hits those
Right.
sites. So in a very competitive market, that can be the difference of getting an offer on that house
Right.
or not, or seeing it. So there's definitely that component, and then being the market expert in the area that I specialize in, I'm networking with other realtors in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I know of homes that are about to go on the market, and clients that they've worked with on a regular basis that are thinking about selling their house 6 months from now. And by working with a buyer or with a realtor that knows those kinds of ins in the market, it really makes the home buying process a lot more successful.
Right. Well, are there any pitfalls that you can think of with regards to when selecting a real estate agent?
I would say one of the biggest things is you want a full-time dedicated agent, somebody that's doing this as a side hustle or a part-time gig on the side. Again, they're not as dedicated, they might not be available, they might not know the market as much, and it's a shifting market, and knowing
Well, there's new information every day.
absolutely, and gosh, so many legal changes in the contracts and things like that. You want somebody who's versed in that, and that gives you a stronger negotiating power throughout that contract process as well.
So let your agent work for you and select Kim Woodul as your agent would be my preference. But I will tell you, select an agent to work on your behalf. And in the meantime, if you're enjoying this content that we're sharing with you today, I hope that you will like, share, subscribe below. Leave us any comments or questions you may have. We'll address them in a future episode. Have a great day.
Thank you.